Roster cuts are not only a tough time for the 1,000-plus players who don't make an NFL roster, but also their fans. We develop rooting interests and attachments to certain guys throughout the offseason, sometimes as early as the draft and UDFA signings. When they ultimately don't make the 53, we're left asking why. Today, let's look through some of the fan favorites from the Cowboys' 2024 offseason who ended up among the toughest cuts. Some of these have already been scooped up by other teams, while others have just been signed to our practice squad. Why did Dallas choose not to secure these players with a spot on their official roster? Julius Wood. Arguably the most disappointing cut for most, Wood had an outstanding camp and preseason and was easily the fifth best safety on the roster. Dallas only kept 4 true safeties at final cuts and left Wood vulnerable to waivers. Unfortunately, the Tennessee Titans claimed him and cost the Cowboys a strong practice squad member and potential future backup. As good as he was in August, causing 3 turnovers across Dallas' 3 preseason games, Wood ultimately didn't make it. 2 key factors were at work: the Cowboys already have exceptional depth at safety and more critical needs at other positions. With starters Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson expected to thrive under Mike Zimmer, and then 2 great backups in Wanya Thomas and Marquise Bell, Dallas likely didn't foresee many opportunities to get Wood on the field. Hooker and Wilson are both under contract in 2025, while Thomas and Bell will be restricted free agents, so keeping that foursome intact next season won't be hard if the Cowboys choose to. Given that, despite his potential, Wood was expendable. Also hurting Wood is the versatility and experience of Israel Mukuamu, who can play corner and safety. Mukuamu's ability to back up both depth charts allowed Dallas to keep assets elsewhere, such as having C.J. Goodwin as a pure specialist, going 10 deep at offensive line, or holding onto a 4th tight end. Wherever that extra space manifested, it was ultimately for someone the Cowboys thought they needed more now and perhaps next year than Wood. True, Dallas may regret losing Wood next year if either Hooker or Wilson becomes a cap casualty. But given their current success rate with late-round and undrafted defensive backs, the Cowboys might feel confident that there will be more prospects like Wood in the very near future. RB Malik Davis. Davis has had a following for 3 offseasons now since joining Dallas as a 2021 undrafted free agent. But while he's displayed solid running ability the last 2 seasons, he was never able to beat out Rico Dowdle for a roster spot, lacking the special teams value, blocking ability, and other traits that the team wants from its RB depth. Dowdle's move up the depth chart in 2024 didn't help as Davis again found himself on the practice squad. With Ezekiel Elliott's return and the expected expansion of fullback Hunter Luepke's role, the backfields filled up quickly. The last spot ended up going to second-year prospect Deuce Vaughn, who offers a different skill set and more variety in role and play options. He also can serve as a backup returner to Cavonte Turpin, which further increases value. Months ago, we suggested that Davis's only path to a roster spot might be winning the starting job. If he was clearly the best option to get the majority of the RB touches, that would mitigate the lack of versatility. But that obviously didn't happen. Prospect Snoop Connor arguably looked more potent on carries than Davis during preseason games. Dallas still thought enough of Davis to keep him on the practice squad for now, but with Dalvin Cook now in the mix, it's hard to imagine he'll get much run in the regular season. CB Eric Scott Jr. Given the potential for Darren Bland to miss a month or 2 with his foot injury, Scott seemed like a solid bet to make the roster. But rookie Kalen Carson emerged as the best young prospect at cornerback, and then Dallas traded for 2022 second-round pick Andrew Booth Jr. as a new developmental option. With the aforementioned versatility of Israel Mukuamu, Scott was waived and was claimed by the Kansas City Chiefs. While only in his second season, Scott's already 25. Comparatively, Booth is over a year younger, despite having an extra year of experience. And while he did get burned at times of big plays in the preseason, Booth also showed some strong tackling ability and playmaking potential at other times. Having just arrived in Dallas 3 weeks ago, the team probably wanted to get more time to evaluate him. Had Scott come in and shown significant improvement in his second season, he'd probably still be here. But given what the Cowboys saw from Carson as a rookie, Booth's perceived upside, and the value of Mukuamu, Scott just didn't bring enough to the table. Dallas likely would have had him on the practice squad if not for Kansas City. Perhaps Scott will wind up with a Super Bowl ring like some other Cowboys-turned-Chiefs in recent years. LB Willie Harvey Jr. Many were intrigued by the UFL standout when Dallas signed him in mid-June along with CB Garion Conley. While he lasted longer than Conley, who retired just as camp began, Harvey was one of the losers in what surprisingly became a tight contest for the bottom of the LB depth chart. Not only did he not make the 53, but the 28-year-old is currently a free agent and not on any team's practice squad. This isn't so much about what Harvey didn't do but more what the competition around him did. Buddy Johnson, a 2021 fourth-round pick by the Steelers who is still just 25, took the last LB spot behind the long-expected group of Micah Parsons, Eric Kendricks, DeMarvion Overshown, Damone Clark, and Marist Liufau. Undrafted rookie Brock Mogensen got a practice squad invite, and it doesn't hurt that he's 4 years younger than Harvey with room to grow. Veterans Damian Wilson and Darius Harris also did well this summer. Harris did make Dallas practice squad while Wilson ended up waived with an injury designation. Linebacker was a hot-button issue for the Cowboys this offseason, and it wasn't until camp that we realized how much stronger it had become. It was still an open battle for that last roster spot, but where Harvey's UFL performance seemed to give him an edge earlier in the summer, improvement from younger prospects and some other veteran additions stiffened the competition. Cowboys QB Dak Prescott on contract, it says a lot if it is or isn't done. While a handful of other high-profile quarterback deals were completed this offseason, the Dallas Cowboys stood pat on Dak Prescott. With the 2024 season just a week from kicking off, Prescott still doesn't have a new contract. It doesn't appear that there will be a new deal agreed to before the Cowboys season starts September 8 against Cleveland Browns. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones told reporters as much on Wednesday, and Prescott weighed in on the matter on Thursday. "I think it says a lot if it is or if it isn't done," Prescott said, via ESPN's Todd Archer, of his lack of a new deal. "Just how people feel. This season marks the final year of a 4-year, $160 million contract Prescott signed in 2021, which stood as a significant rate at the time, but has since been eclipsed by roughly a dozen newer contracts for quarterbacks. Given the fact Prescott led the league in touchdown passes, 36, last season, finished third in passing yards, 4,516, and tossed just 9 interceptions, it would make sense to work on a new deal with him, but that doesn't quite match where the Cowboys stand in their timeline. Like coach Mike McCarthy, Prescott is entering his final year. Each will have to earn their future with their performance this season, putting an incredible amount of pressure on the club's leading figures. Dak's situation right now for my mirror, has more to do with our situation than it does with the merits of Dak Prescott being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys," Jones said on Wednesday. "So, Prescott is worth the money, then? The Cowboys just aren't sure they're ready to pony up." "Yeah, I understand that. That's the business and the nature of this game that we play. Yeah, I stopped, honestly, listening to things," Jones says to the media a long time ago, Prescott said, per Archer. "It doesn't really hold weight with me." It hasn't been a great year for contract talks involving Jones, who earlier this month admitted he didn't feel a sense of urgency to sign receiver CeeDee Lamb to a new contract before doubling back to clarify his comments. Eventually, Dallas got a deal done with Lamb. Prescott, meanwhile, enters 2024 with zero long-term security. That isn't stopping him from taking the ultra-competitive approach to this season. "You gotta love it. You gotta embrace it," Prescott said of the added pressure that will come, per The Athletic's John Machota. "That's the challenge. We as the players and the coaches don't have the full say in whether we're here or not. It's about us controlling what we can. It's about sticking together. Yeah, it's now. Prescott likely knows in most cases he'd already have signed a new deal. Tua Tagovailoa and Trevor Lawrence's contracts stand as proof that other franchises operate differently than the Cowboys. But he's also acutely aware of the Cowboys' uncertainty as an organization entering 2024 and of the message it sends. The rules have been laid out clearly for all participants this season. Dallas could continue into 2025 with Prescott and McCarthy as the central figures of their franchise if they produce in 2024. But the expectation remains unclear. After failing to advance past the divisional round in every season since their Super Bowl-winning 1995 campaign, Dallas is still running from its postseason ghosts. Is an NFC Championship game appearance required to preserve the McCarthy-Prescott partnership? Time will only tell. One thing is certain, Prescott isn't thinking about his contract at this moment in time. He knows what's on the line this season.